The following is a Comfortably Zoned Radio Network production.
It's raining cats and dogs here in the Poconos.
That's where you are?
Yeah.
I used to go to summer camp in the Poconos for my childhood every summer up in Dingman's Ferry.
Well, it's gorgeous here.
Oh, it's beautiful country in the summertime. Wow.
Yes, it is.
Wintertime too, if you like snow.
Oh, I've heard. I just wonder how much snow they really get up here. I mean, you're probably packed in.
I've never been up there in the wintertime, but the summertime.
Yeah.
I mean, rafting on the Delaware, scenic beauty, great Native American history, God's country.
Yes, it is.
I'm glad you.
Hey, this is good timing because I just got through with the deal, and then I had the other thing on that fundraiser, and then I just got through with the thing over at Cooperstown.
Well, this is being recorded, so give us a breakdown on what you've been doing. Well,
I came in, Saturday, and when we had our, fundraiser on Sunday at the Moravian College over there in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania.
Okay, and, for those of you who don't know, what is the fundraiser raising money for?
This particular fundraiser, Ralph, is for scholarship, and it's called Best Scholar Fund. And the thing about it is, they have mentors that work with these kids. It's just not give me some money and here we go, and I failed, and so I don't have to repay the money. No, you're held accountable. So they have to work after they get their degree. Then they have to work back in the community for 2 years within a 50-mile radius of where they went to college. So it's a pretty good deal. It's a really good deal.
You're helping the local community, and the money, basically your donation stays within the community.
Exactly.
And now, how did you get involved with these people in the first place?
Well, we probably had 25 Major League ball players there, and then Larry Holmes was there as well. He's from this area, and I think Larry pretty much comes every year. It's for him, and I guess Billy Staple got a hold of me, and Bill Haley, he's one of the directors. He drove me up today to Cooperstown, but that is totally separated. But they got me involved 4 years ago, and they have a golf tournament on Monday, and then everybody splits. Now Goose Gossage was here just as well, and matter of fact, Tommy Agee's wife was there, and she's just a really nice gal, just really super person.
Tommy Agee was so instrumental in the Mets winning in 1969 that can't tell you. Came over from the White Sox. As a matter of fact, he and Cleon Jones had a cocktail lounge very, very close to where I grew up in Jackson Heights. They were within a mile away. So I have an affinity for Tommy Agee, number 20. Terrific ball player. Died very young, much too young. And if you're going to put a year on, we all die too young. Nobody I know. People go, I wish he would have died a little sooner. His time lived too long. We all want to live as long as we can, and it's never enough. So it's good proof that we listen to Mark Littell's philosophy of making it fun every day and having a good time and learning and teaching, and you go through life with a smile on your face, Mark.
Well, I tell you what, we had some really good kids that had gone forward and finished their degrees, and it was just almost almost tear-jerking just to see these kids tell their story about, their journey, about, this, and thinking that, well, I'll never be in college, and all of a sudden they got a degree. And you're listening to them, and then you're listening to their mentor talk about that journey up on stage, and it's quite something to listen to something of this magnitude. The other factor is I was at the Hall of Fame today on the book on the eighth day God made baseball. So Bruce Markinson, he's the director. He had me in, and like I said, Bill Haley drove me up. He's one of the directors of Best Foundation and Best Scholar Foundation, and he had not been there in a while to Cooperstown, and I got to see the real deal today, and it is quite impressive if you've never seen Cooperstown.
And
if you're baseball,
I haven't. Boy, do I can't wait to get there, make my pilgrimage.
It's amazing. It just it's just wrapped up with all kinds of just magnificent history that you would never think of, and just a little bitty, the specks that they just blow up, and it just comes to life, and it's just very amazing to see this.
They've made it a technical extravaganza as well. Am I right? Where they come up with films and
yes.
Which years ago they just had the displays, and now they've really been high tech is the word I'm looking for.
Yeah, they're up to snuff on this, because I saw a whole lot of millennials in there that were just staring at stuff, so that something got their attention. And so,
right,
that was cool to see that.
That is nice. There was a picture on Facebook with you and Larry Holmes.
Yes.
Tell me about meeting him. What was he like? He beat Ali, if my boxing memory serves, and
Thrilla and Manila, I believe, actually.
No, that was Frazier,
my fault.
Yeah, that's all right.
But he did. Yeah.
You could have a seance with Frazier on Thursdays now, and I don't know, regular. But Larry Holmes is alive and well, and
he is. He has a guy that helps him out, because he gets a lot of people, wanting to see Larry Holmes, and Larry Holmes and I pulled out the punch, and I think I could have took him, actually. Of course, I think I really could. I maybe could have tripped him or something, and
hit him from behind. What they said in the old days, it was a rabbit punch. Anybody know what a rabbit punch was? If you're listening out there, no rabbit punching. A rabbit, kind of a sidearm punch. Is that okay? All right. So is that how you planned on taking Mr. Holmes?
No, he's probably not wearing a nutty buddy, and so I would have got him that way.
Cut right to the chase. Why continue the day? Just make it a quick one to the nut, and see you later, alligator. A full frontal on that one, Ralph. Okay. Yes.
Full frontal.
That's for those who are listening, may not know about Nutty Buddy. How did that get started? Talk about that a little bit.
I got started years ago when I was working with the Dodgers. I was a pitching coach with the AA team, and I had to eat my pitcher's butt out just for fun, just to have some fun with them one day. And I asked them how many guys are wearing cups. Half of them raised their hand. I'm just kind of having, once again, some fun with them. When one of the guys in the background says, well, Litt, why don't you just go out and invent one? I said, well, I think I will. So I went to the training room and found 2 golf balls and a bunch of pliable material. You put it in a hydroculator, and you start cutting it up real quick before it hardens. And I brought that cup out the next day, what I thought it was, a cup anyway. And I said, well, here it is, gentlemen. And they said, well, that's pretty good. Maybe you should patent that. I said, nah, I doubt that. So about a month later, I checked into the patent thing, and one thing led to another, and so now we've got 5 sizes of Nutty Buddy. That's Hammer, Boss, Hog, Trophy, Mongo. So there are no smalls. So when the guy goes up there with a considered small, he flops it down and right in front of the good-looking chick behind the register, and he says, "Hey, sweetheart, I've got a hog." So there you go.
All right. And they are effective. Am I correct? You've had minor league players using these things, and
I've had major minor leaguer. I've had umpires. We have mixed martial arts. We have cricket is twice the size of baseball. That's cricket's a big thing for us. Lacrosse, hockey, bull riding. When I rode a bull, bull riders wear my cup. It's just not a baseball cup. And but you know, if you go online, you go to YouTube and then go to Nutty Buddy video, what you're going to see is me take a shot at 90 miles an hour right in the nads. And I've been on Fox Sports Science and Fox and Friends Morning Show in New York and Lopez. And you know, it's always enjoyable for the female to look at that shot because they seem to like it much better than the male.
Okay. I will check to your phallic tendencies. Let's put it that way.
That's exactly right.
All right, you got it. It works, and if it works, don't fix it. How about that one?
Right. There you
go. You told us how to look it up, and you'd be able to get one if you looked it up. Where could they get one signed by you, Mark Littell, for Major League?
Well, I'm pretty much on Facebook a lot of times, but we're not coming back into the picture until September because we took it back, you know, from the license. So we're a big company. You're licensed, actually. See,
right.
we don't ever give up the patents or anything of that nature, and we don't, you know, unless somebody wants to buy it and you know, buy it from us. But that's not the case. So we're going to be back up on the market, out on the market on Facebook and social media, selling it because we've done the big box stores, and now we're going to do it our way again, and we do very well that way because this cup is a little more pricey, and because it does work, and we have a patented shortage as well, and that's a really interesting thing. Plus, it's made in the United States. That's why we brought it back from abroad. We used to make it here anyway.
Well, if you're listening out there, here's my advice. If you're going to make an investment, invest in the boys.
There you go. There
All
you go,
right.
Ralph.
Mark Littell, former Major League pitcher, closer, minor league guru, baseball aficionado. Give me your rundown of the first half of this year, 2018, Major League Baseball. What stands out at you, and what do you think is going to happen in the second half?
Wow, you got some pretty good teams out there. You know, nobody thinks of Atlanta. You look at Houston, and they're setting pretty. So the Yankees are setting a lot better, especially since they made that trade for the reliever with the Baltimore, and he should be over there today. St. Louis got rid of Matheny, and you've got the other guy over there now that was the bench coach, and they are, I think, below 500 now. So that's the Cardinals are going down the ladder quick. The Royals have won, I think 3 out of 4 on the comeback, but they're at the very, very bottom anyway. Oakland's always a little bit sneaky. Atlanta, like I said, you got to watch out for Atlanta a little bit. Boston, they could tear it up a little bit just as well. And oh gosh, the Dodgers are doing their little thing out there. They surpassed Arizona. And gosh, I'm just sitting here thinking about all this stuff. You know what it's going to boil down to is always pitching, and that's the big factor right there. You know, whoever is the healthiest. Going into the dog days in August, and that's the hot days, and you're tired, and you're at 35 games scheduled. You got 130, 135 games under your belt at that time. who's ever going to gut it out those last 30, 35 games, that's going to be the decision maker right there. It's usually the pitching.
Okay, well, the race that really stands out to me is the one between Boston and the Yankees. Can you comment on those two teams, how they match up, and if you have any prognostication in you? What do you think, Mark Littell?
Well, the Yankees, they just improved their pitching, and you cut him loose. He was the closer for Boston, for the Orioles, and you cut him loose and get into the mix there. He's not going to close for the Yankees, though. He's going to be a 6 and 7 inning guy. That's what he's going to come in right there and do that. He's going to fill that void, and that's a very, very big void, because when you have a bullpen, and if you haven't really got a 6th and 7th inning man, you can't get to the closer yet, even, or the setup guy. So that's going to come probably to fruition for them. Boston, they're steady Eddie. They're hard to beat. They got beat last night by Baltimore 7-6, but you thought they were going to come back and pounce on them, but they hung in there and got a hard hit double play in that ball game. No. But it's kind of tough calls because you got two good teams battling it out, and it's competitive, and it's battle. It's a battle. That's what it is.
It's nice. It's nice when there is that type of competition. For years, they talked about the Yankee-Boston rivalry, but it was the Yankees always being the hammer and Boston always being the nail. And now that they're both doing well at the same time, it really is. Talk about a little bit about the Cubs-St. Louis rivalry. Not so much this year, but how important was that to a ball player in St. Louis? How much is made of their natural rivalry with the Cubs?
Well, that's one thing I did, Ralph, is I left out the Cubs, and they've got a lot of pitching. They've got some pretty darn good pitching over there, and Madden does a great job of controlling his team, whether it's offensive, defensive, pitching, the whole 9 yards. And they seem to get the production when they need it. They also seem to have been getting that pitching. So there's some good things happening with the Cubs. But if you go out there and you look at the tradition of the Cardinals and the Cubs over the over the last 30 years, it's a big battle. They're pointed at each other, because when you go into either one of those ballparks, you've got a lot of red, you've got a lot of blue, in either ballpark. Right. So, and it's just like Yankees, Boston, and it is a battle as well. But for such a long time, it was always the Cardinals coming out on top. Now the Cubs have swung the other direction, and so they're having some issues with the Cardinals, and so they've got to clear those up first before anything's going to happen. So the Cubs are being steady Eddie at the time. They're playing baseball, real baseball.
Mark, let me change the subject a little bit. You were a minor league coach for years and years with several different organizations. And I contend that Major League Baseball, organized baseball, has their priorities reversed. I think the most valuable coaches are the lower A, sometimes single A, sometimes rookie league coaches that welcome a ball player from the amateur status to the professional status. And I think that first year of establishing work habits, of establishing everything there is to make a player go through the system on the fast track to get to the big leagues. It's instilled in those players in those first few months in organized ball. Unfortunately, the pay scale is that the major league coaches, the higher up you go in the organization, certainly with the major leagues being the ultimate example, the more money you make as a coach.
Right.
But shouldn't they be paying the minor league coaches that are at the lowest level, the induction level to the big leagues? Shouldn't they be paying them more than the big leagues, or pay every coach in the organization the same amount? Would that make sense?
Yeah, that would make sense. But, some rookie ball and some A-ball coaches get paid pretty well because they have tenure, and they're not going to go out there, even if they go over to another organization and kick backwards, a lot. But, no, you're right, because but there is a different type of accountability, and I understand where you're coming from right there as well, because with the big league coach, he's got to answer a little bit to the press just as well, and he's got to be able, to contain that and contain himself along with his pitchers to say and keep an edge out there to where he doesn't look really like he's stupid. Because you say one wrong sentence at the big league level, you're gone. And it's a touch and go situation. But, I agree, and that's been a big topic among coaches, because the minor league systems, that's the development part. You've got the scouting, you got the developing, they get, they bring them in, they send them to us, and they're shipping and we're receiving. And the thing about it is when we receive it, we've got to say, okay, what have we got here? And so we see it on paper, what we've got and where we're going. So we do know a lot about what we're getting already. We know about the innings, and a lot of those kids have already been abused if they come out of a lot of different college systems. So you do have to have some, pretty sharp, cookies on that. And also your coordinator has to be pretty sharp to step up in there and take charge of the pitching coaches and say, hey, we've got this group of kids right here that has to really be watched.
Now, organization-wise, are there still different organizations that have different philosophies? For instance, is there a Dodger way? Is there a Cardinal way? I know there's a Met way. You go directly to the disabled list. But I just want to know if different organizations have organizational philosophies in their coaching.
Well, they used to, but if you look at the play nowadays, and you watch a big league ball game, you think a big league ball player could hit a cutoff man, and they don't do it, or they would throw to the right base, and they don't do it at the big league level. Mm-hmm. And you're taught this stuff at an early age, but apparently they're playing too many games and they're not getting enough skill level work. So that's one of the downfalls of say a minor league system, and because they don't address some of that stuff, because you have your agents and your players now almost running the show to say, oh well, I don't really like this coach because he was really hard on me, and so you're gone. And that's an interesting thing to watch. Is if you've got a good front office administration going through the right rituals of doing this the right way and backing their coaches, then you've got a chance of succeeding. But you look at the Cardinals; they've made more errors, I think, than any other team in the National League right now. They used to be known for not doing that. They were exceptional for playing heads-up baseball, hitting the cutoff man, getting in front of the ball, catching the ball, throwing the ball right, and that's just not happening.
Right.
At this time. And it's nothing. If a Cardinal administration guy was listening to what I just had to say, he would have to agree with me, because it's statistically on paper.
Right.
So.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, you were a Cardinal. Can you tell me, and I'm fascinated by coaches and minor league coaches and their effect, and to see if it can't be quantified how important managing and coaching is. Tell me about Hub Kittle.
Well, I can tell you about Hub Kennel because Hub was, everybody said he was old school. Hub's not old school at all. He was way ahead of the game, and so he knew how to communicate with all players, and he did a great job of it. It's the same thing with George Kissel, and
right.
Neither one of these guys are alive right now. George Kissel was and still is considered the Cardinal way, and I remember George Kissel getting out at third base, and they're taking batting practice, and he's got his back working with the third baseman, and he's got his hat off, and it's hot as all hell. And George is out there with his horn-rimmed glasses on, and somebody could have smoked him and killed him, but and that's with no screen in front of him. So he's getting his point across, and he's also telling the hitter to take the ball the other way.
That's something I wanted to talk to you about because we're in an age where they have the shift, and I know it doesn't transcend to the pay table, to the pay window, having the skill to break that shift by hitting a little squibber up the left field line, the third base line, and getting on and maybe hitting 380 to break the shift.
Right.
Why isn't this being done more? Is it possible for players to hit inside, what they used to call hitting inside out? You don't see that much. Am I right?
No, exactly. You don't see the short game. You don't see the player getting the guy over. The other thing is, if you've got that third base line open, all you got to do is drop a hard bunt down. You've almost got a double,
right.
Actually.
Right.
You've almost got a double.
Because the third baseman is playing on the right field line, and the shortstop is playing behind second base.
Exactly right.
So I don't understand why more players aren't taking advantage of this. I think Tony Gwynn would have.
Sure.
And if you want to go back further, there was an expression called "hit 'em where they ain't." That Wheelie Keeler, before my grandfather started following baseball, came up with, and it would make sense to me that would quickly break the shift. There's also talk about making it a rule that you have to have two infielders on one side of second base and two infielders on the other side of second base.
Right.
What say you about that?
Well, I think they need to drop it and just play baseball the right way and go and drop a few of the rules that they've instilled in the last 2 or 3 years, and I think that the game would be a lot more enjoyable, actually. And you would probably see they're always wanting more hits in the game. And if you're playing it straight up, sometimes it's hard sometimes to do that when you're also playing it straight up because, now the ground is now covered, so you've got a defender there. You've got your defense in order. And I don't understand. John Mayberry, our first baseman, big John Mayberry back in the 70s, they would put the shift on him just as well. he just drop a bunt down the third baseline. He go down there laughing the whole way.
He'll take the single. It looks like a line drive in the box score.
Yeah, exactly. Single. And the thing about it is he just go laughing, And the thing about it is if there's nobody on base, why not just go ahead and take the single? What's one? And if you got runners on base, now he's going to swing probably. But if you've got, they're playing a shift on him, I'm just going to drop it, get a single, and I'm going to let the next guy hit me, get me over to third.
Okay,
so, and
Mark,
start big innings.
Mark, you played and coached before, and I'm going to use this in quotes. Analytics came into vogue. Which which analytic in your mind is the most overrated and which the most underrated?
Gosh. I haven't been in the analytics section so much. I like on-base percentage a lot, to tell you the truth.
OBS? Yeah.
I like your OBS. Yeah, I like your on base percentage. Your strikeouts to walks, that can vary because if you've got more hits than you do strikeouts, that's not really a good thing either. That means you're elevating pitches, and the hit